Hi. Hi, Mustafa.
Hi, Erdi. Hi, Erdi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's very pleasure to see you again. Uh, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. Just prepared to face the second wave of the pandemic.
Oh, yeah. That's so really
As usual. Continue to
sad. That's really
work
sad.
at home.
Okay,
Yeah,
but we shouldn't focus this sad point. Let's go
of
to
course,
our
of course.
issues. And so I invited you to ask some questions, just short questions, please.
Hmm.
And a lot of students are interested in how to choose materials because internet is overloaded with
Yes,
enormous of materials. There are ocean of materials. How to choose right material?
yes. It's really a good question, and it's one of the most common questions that I get regularly from people, from my students, actually. And I consider it is one of the crucial points, starting points of learning a language. Let me start off our conversation with a personal story and experience. When I started learning Russian, it happens 27 years ago almost, by the way. I didn't have any learning materials like studying books, I mean, for foreigners. Yes, you have heard right. But of course, I have to acknowledge that I lived in a Russian speaking environment at that time. But I hadn't a basic book, to study Russian because of I didn't know how to start. I decided to solve this question as follows. After learning some basic stuff, I started writing real stories out of my mind, either in my native language or sometimes in Arabic, which I also learned at the time. And then I translated them into the Russian with the help of my friends. By this way, I started to create bilingual translating methods and my learning materials instead of complaining and waiting something from others. Moreover, as you know, before Russian, I learned a dead language at the higher level also, just from the old books, just by reading and using a dictionary, etc. Having said that, I want to say, if you are really keen on learning something and true to yourself with all your sincerity, you can do it even without any special materials, adaptive materials or help. Especially today, there ain't no excuse for the difficulty of learning language. Are you agree with me?
Yeah, of course. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's really
Uh,
interesting.
however, however, as you ask, uh, as we see, there is still a question about what kind of materials we should use. First of all, the choice of materials is a personal matter that depends on the way people enjoy the process and how well you feel when you do it. But my personal opinion on this issue is somewhat different. Most people put the enjoyment into the first place. They chose that enjoyment. But I am not. To me, the quick and a jaw-dropping improvement, of course, with the quality is priority. That as a result, creates the huge amount of enjoyment and excitement. I chose maybe a little bit difficult and not very exciting materials for some people, but definitely the most powerful and effective way to me, for me, when you are learning a language without going abroad, only in your own country and just on your own as me. And of course, materials has to, motivates you. Motivates you. What motivates and keeps me being at a higher level of motivation is that I enjoy my quick and visible results. I see myself improving. I see myself becoming more and more fluent and accurate and understandable to people when we have a conversation. Basically, for this reason, I remain faithful to my and loyal to my language learning methods and materials, by the way, especially nowadays, more and more people are learning languages outside of class and language courses on their own, because there are now an incredible amount of resources available out there, especially thanks to new cutting-edge technology and internet. But when we are talking about materials, of course, we are remembering about past, school, etc. If go back to the past, most of us started our very first experiences of learning a language in public schools. And needless to say or guess, there was no fun in school methods. There were just error correction, and embarrassment, judgment, and, scant-tired grammar and pronunciation exercises. But astonishingly, like the children's subconscious psychology, people also do the same thing by carrying and transferring the same exact, attitude from the school to their life or to their, independent language learning and also teaching process, despite they have never liked it, before when they were students. It's like, a relationship between parents and their children. Why? Because children copy their parents' behavior, even if they don't like it at all. And most people, as you see, copy the school system and methods which they themselves have never liked before. It's, kind of like a vicious circle. Okay, it's just about one side of materials. What kind of materials I am talking about then? My personal choice is to use only authentic, real materials. Why do I mean? Put another way, I never use textbooks and typical grammar books that look like bricks. If you want to start to speak soon and enjoy communicating with people, you should use only natural and authentic materials, not some grammatical, textbooks that analyze only the rules of language in a suck way, instead of, encourage people to communicate with people. Because, shortly saying, as a result, obsession of grammatical rules keeps you, silence and holding you back from the interacting with people. In my case, I mean about authentic materials, adaptive short stories. You can find, on the internet, billion of, adaptive short stories, starting from beginner level up to advanced level. But up to intermediate level, it would be much better just keep these methods, but read and listen them depending only on your current level. The level you are at is neither harder nor easier. And then after upper intermediate level, you can mix it with different kind of materials. It's just my opinion, but I see that is really is working with me and with a lot of my students also, these methods.
Yeah, thank you so much. And during your telling, I saw myself, and as I grow up in my childhood, and a lot of judgment and at school, and not only at school, when I graduated and being already an adult, and I tried to learn English, and I heard a lot of times the judgment
Yes.
that, oh, if you learn English, you must to be perfect. If you learn English,
Exactly.
you must to learn English just for several months, not years, and it was
Yeah, I agree.
it's really gave me great how to say stop to practice, to learn English, and just only with internet I got and
Yes.
I got knowledge how to learn English, how to learn languages, how to practice languages, how to communicate. And of course, I am lucky that and to have internet and be able to in touch with you and other my friends
It's my
from around
pleasure.
the
Thank
world.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. And
It's pleasure to hear you.
okay, and final question for you. And what role material plays to maintain our motivation?
I mentioned, in our conversation earlier about these topics. Materials actually, have, has to be motivated, you, and keeps you, have to keep you going, ahead without hesitation, and without obsession, because obsession is kind of for me hesitation. Natural materials give you this opportunity to feel yourself more confident, more natural. But when you are learning a language through not natural materials, you are trying to perform, completely different things that doesn't belong to people in nature. Yes, you should act something by reading a short story, but forcing yourself, in order to being, grammatically accurate, it's kind of, against, your brain, against your nature, against your psychology. Because human beings, are learning through mistakes. But of course, if anyone wants to be accurate and fluent, but it's impossible, achieve, accuracy without mistakes. Materials, if materials force you being, just correct and just accurate, it's really so bad. it's kind of, you know, fighting against nature.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Sorry, I interrupt you. Why I said most of people put enjoyment into the first place. Yes, of course, it is a language learning process. It has to be enjoyable, but it's not about just about enjoyment, you know. It's impossible, you know, to be just enjoyable process. It is a job, it is a work, you know, it's really for adults. We are not, you know, children, we are not kids, you know, little kids. We are adult people, and we have to be aware about, you know, difficulties of learning language, and it's impossible to make language learning process just, you know, entertaining process. It's not entertaining process. We have mindset, we have attitude, we have smart. We have to use it in correct way. You know, it's really irrational expecting from language learning process some kind of, you know, entertaining process. It's not about entertaining. It's not about enjoyment. Of course, you should have some enjoyment from your language learning process, but it is possible, you know, just by achieving results. If you don't have any results, there is no enjoyment. As I say, I see myself, you know, day by day, you know, becoming more and more fluent, more and more, you know, understandable, and it gives me huge amount of motivation and pulls me, you know, not pulls me back. It's you know, against, it just push me ahead. If you are you know, obsessed about some grammatical rules and accuracy, it will pull you every time back. Stop, just think about that before you saying, is it correct? No, it's not. There is no enjoyment. Don't, you know, pay attention don't pay attention to some people that who actually maybe laugh at mistakes, or they just don't know anything about language learning process.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And
It's my
that's
pleasure.
really valuable to have you here. And I recommend everybody who is watching videos, follow Mustafa, follow him on Webtalk, and support him, connect to him, and he will give you lessons and chats.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your efforts. I appreciate. I am
That's my
also
pleasure.
happy
That's
to
my
face
pleasure.
such kind of valuable person like you.
Okay, Mustafa, thank you so much, and we will see together
Thank you.
soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we will meet again, I am sure. And thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for your time. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.